Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is James and I have a condition called fibromyalgia. If you are here because you have fibromyalgia and you're looking to learn more, then you are in the same boat as me, because I am no expert, but I have done a lot of research to try and come to terms and to try and understand what fibromyalgia is. If you don't have fibromyalgia and you don't know what fibromyalgia is, I urge you to stay tuned, because you may come across somebody with fibromyalgia, or you may even develop fibromyalgia in years to come. So I might give you a little insight into what fibromyalgia actually is. Okay, so in this video, we are going to talk about how to get diagnosed, how I got diagnosed. There is a lot of problems with getting diagnosed with fibromyalgia because it is a very, very tricky condition to actually diagnose. Okay, so like I always say in all of my videos, I am no doctor, I am no expert. I just give you what I have learned from having fibromyalgia, and I bring it to you guys. I only speak on my experience. If I speak on anybody else's experience, I will always tag them or talk about what they have said, etc. But I like to speak about my experience, the medications I've used, the diagnosis process, and symptoms and stuff like that. We all vary in life, our bodies vary, so we handle medications different, and our symptoms are different. So I like to speak on what I deal with. That being said, if you do have any of these symptoms of fibromyalgia, then don't automatically just think you have fibromyalgia. There is a lot of conditions, and I mean a lot of conditions, doing research, that come under the umbrella of these symptoms. So that is why the process takes so long to be diagnosed, because all of these other conditions have to be ruled out. But like I always say, go and seek medical help. Don't just listen to me. I'm just here passing on my journey. Okay, so the process of diagnosis with fibromyalgia can be, well, in my case, a very, very, very long process. Straight to the point, my diagnosis took me 7 years. So it was 7 years of relentless going to see doctors, nurses, hospitals, tests, blood test after blood test after blood test. I've had hundreds of blood tests, MRI scans, the lot. We're going to go into it, but it took 7 years. And we're going to start from the very beginning. So like I spoke in the last video, if you haven't seen it already, it's called My First Symptoms of Fibromyalgia. I started developing these symptoms shortly after my brother passed away. And I ignored them for a while, and by ignoring them I mean I didn't go to the doctor, I didn't seek help. Eventually I took myself to the doctor because I felt like I was dying. I actually felt like I had a serious, not to say that this isn't serious, but I thought I had a life-threatening condition. So I took myself to the doctors, and obviously they asked me what I'm feeling symptoms wise, blah blah blah, what's happened in my life. That's when they found out my brother just passed. Straight away it got tagged down to anxiety, but they ran a few tests, and within them tests, straight away my first test came back that I had something wrong with my liver. So I also want to say that I know fibromyalgia takes a long time to get diagnosed, but I think mine was messed up a lot because of this situation. So the situation I'm talking on is that the liver came back something wrong with it. So what happened was they automatically sent me for that to be investigated. So I had another blood test. There was something wrong with the liver, and then they sent me for a scan. When they sent me to the scan, the lady, as you can see, I'm fit, I'm healthy. I still try to go to the gym as much as possible, as much as my body will allow me to. The lady sat me down and done one of the pregnancy with the gel and stuff on my belly, and she was shocked. She couldn't believe how fat my liver was. She said that my liver is, she thought I was an alcoholic. She said that my liver is like an 80-year-old alcoholic's liver. It is massive, which was worrying, obviously. But here's where the confusion happened. So one, nothing was ever followed up with that. I've never had any treatment about my liver. Nothing was ever followed up. I moved house, that messed up things between doctors. I moved house twice. So nothing was followed up with the liver thing. And then what happened was, I started doing research, and I found out that the fatty liver can actually be inherent. I later went on to find out that my mum has the same thing and my sister has the same thing. Now we believe my brother has the same thing, and none of us drink. None of us drink to excess. My mum doesn't drink at all. My sister may drink once a year, celebrations, same as me. I don't drink on a weekly basis, monthly basis, maybe once or twice a year just to celebrate. So there was no reason for my liver to be like this. We just believe it's inherited. So after the liver thing, nothing ever got followed up. I moved house. I carried on going to the doctors. Nothing got mentioned about the liver thing. And then inflammatory marker come up, which I never got told about. Went back another time. Then the inflammatory marker got brought up. That's when I brought up that I get a rash. So all of these things I'm bringing up to them is research that I've done. And I said, could it be lupus? They went back a few years, seen the inflammatory marker, and said that there was a marker on there that it could be lupus. There is a big thing with this inflammatory marker that goes with lupus. And with this and with my symptoms, they said, we need to follow this up. Followed it up, I believe, with an ANA test. It come back negative, but as we all know, ANA tests can be false negatives, which is a story for another time. I got sent to a scan, and on the scan they found out that I had 2 bulging discs in my lower back, which I never got told about until about a year later. And then I got told on the phone that I'm not getting any younger, and this is how your body reacts. Your body starts deteriorating. And this was when I was about 33, I believe, 34. So I was still a young man. I consider myself still a young man, very fit, very able. There was a good few errors in this process. I don't really know who to blame, but there was a good few errors. I started to hear about fibromyalgia, but never mentioned it to the doctors, never. From that scan, they sent me, I asked for a second opinion, and they sent me to physiotherapy. I went to physiotherapy and it didn't help at all, as expected. And they said that they can send me, or they can refer me to a pain specialist. So the process is, you have to do all of these things before you get sent or referred to a pain specialist. And a pain specialist is somebody, obviously, in the word, specializes in pain. They are rheumatologists, they are bone doctors, they are muscle doctors, they deal with osteoarthritis and chronic pain conditions alike. Finally, after a few months of the physiotherapy, I got sent to the pain specialist. They done some more blood tests. They done an ANA test because they recognized the red butterfly mark. They sent that to a rheumatologist who diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. Okay, I forgot to put this little bit in, but I'm going to stitch it in. So the main part of being diagnosed with fibromyalgia is that they say it isn't, but it is. It's a process of elimination. So there are so many conditions that are alike. There are osteoarthritis, there is polymyalgia, there is lupus, there is MS, there is so many to mention. There is EDS, I believe it's called, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, probably pronouncing it wrong. But what they do is they listen to your symptoms, they match all of them things, and then any of them that have a biomarker, they want to rule them out. So they test for them things. Well, that's hopefully what we think they do, or we hope they will do. And when they come back negative, then they move on to the next one. That's why the process is so long. Should definitely not be 7 years, definitely not. But yeah, so I missed that bit out, but I'm stitching it in. So to cram that all in, it was literally a process of me being very persistent and not letting anything go. I just want to go back a bit and say that during all of this time, they had me on all different medications to see if anything worked, to try and rule out with the blood tests that was coming back, and nothing worked. So I just wanted to put that bit in there. But it was a process of me being persistent. It was a process of untold tests, whether it be blood tests, scans, hearing test I went for, multiple tests, physiotherapies, a long list of things before I got to the pain specialist, which is the one that diagnosed fibromyalgia. So in short, a long process, but if I can give anybody advice, it would be to just be persistent. It would be to write down a diary of your signs and symptoms, when you get them and how you get them, and just report anything you can. I literally went to the doctor every time and just, I'm getting this symptom now, I'm getting that symptom, this is what's happening to me, this happens 3 times a day, this happens, this makes me feel a little better, this doesn't. Anything I could to try and trigger something in their mind, and it never really did, but the more information the better. So that was my journey, 7 years, and if you're in the same predicament, you're in the same position, I would say just be persistent. I would also say that having a diagnosis of fibromyalgia hasn't really done anything for me as such. The best thing that's come out of this is that I've been able to spread awareness, and I've been able to gain a massive following. I don't like to call it a following, but a massive community of people that help each other on TikTok, and one day hopefully on YouTube. I would say that with that diagnosis of fibromyalgia, the help is very, very limited. We all know that there is no cure. We all know that there is no medication that helps you. Sorry, a bit of fibro fog. That medication that helps you. Some people say some medication subsides some symptoms, but because there's so many symptoms, I've never found a medication that helps me. So even with a diagnosis, just because you got that diagnosis, you're not going to get better. You're not going to get what you think you're going to get. On the flip side, having a diagnosis has now allowed me to enter a stage of, I don't want to say the word on here, but a medical plant in the UK, because I've got the diagnosis. So I'm just about to go through that, and I will report to you guys how that helps me, if it does and if it doesn't. And also with maybe more diagnoses in the world, then more research will get done. So that will be a good thing. But guys, that's my story. That is the process of getting diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Please guys, if you like this kind of content, please let me know. Please also give me some questions, and I will be more than happy to film something and let you guys know. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. Hope you're having a low pain day and your fibro flare-ups are at bay.